I'm taking a little trip down memory lane, reviewing some of the albums that I used to love as a child. I am not a musical person. I mean, I love musicals, stage musicals, but I'm not really into music, pop music, anything like that. So I'm not reviewing this from the perspective of a knowledgeable music addict. I am discussing this from a nostalgic perspective, seeing whether or not, for me, it lives up to the memory. I loved this album. I think it might have been the only Steps album I had, or I might have had the one, I don't know what it's called, but it's a white background and it's got their heads reversed. Does that make sense? Probably not. But this was definitely the most prominent one from my childhood. Having listened to it, I can now conclude that the songs that I remembered definitely live up to it. They're so fun, cheesy, engaging, nostalgic. But the middle, or maybe the second half of the album, except for one song, I have no recollection of. I didn't really enjoy listening to it this time round. Goodness knows how many times I listened to this when I was growing up. I didn't have, that many albums. I did listen to the same ones on repeat quite a lot, probably much to my parents' annoyance. So, it's pretty decent still, but not quite as powerful as I remember. So I was going to cite some really interesting facts about a lot of the singles that are on this, but then I realised you could just go to Wikipedia yourself if you were that interested. I won't bore you with all of the tiny details. But I will say that apparently the titular song Buzzz peaked at number 1 in the UK singles charts, which was Steps' second number 1 song, which I think is pretty interesting. Is Buzzz my favourite on the album? My cat contributing to the conversation there? No, it isn't. It absolutely is not. But I do like it. It is very upbeat. Kind of got that techno feel drifting into it, when pop kind of started to kind of weave that into a lot of their songs. But it's definitely not my favourite. The other tracks that I love, well, it starts off with Better the Devil You Know, which I love. I love the Kylie version. I'm not saying I prefer the Steps version, but I certainly have always adored it. And then Stomp, which I absolutely, I find really kind of addictive, is good fun. Obviously, as I said, it went to number 1. I think I just called it Buzzz a second ago. It's called Stomp. I'm losing my mind. Stomp went to number 1. It's very catchy and very uplifting. Then we have Summer of Love, which vocally is actually pretty decent, and I still find it so. Then we go into It's the Way You Make Me Feel, which I think might be the slowest song on here. It's a lot more somber, it's a lot more emotive, and I've always liked it. I feel like as soon as you say that title, the lyrics are in my head, the words are in my head, and then sadly things from that point kind of go downhill. Learn to Love Again, You'll Be Sorry, Never Get Over You, Hand on Your Heart. Happy Go Lucky I kind of like. I didn't really remember it. I read the track titles before I re-listened to it, and this one didn't come back to me. I couldn't recall it. And then I listened to it, and I could kind of vaguely remember it. But I didn't mind it. Let's say I was listening to it now for the first time. I didn't really mind it that much. It was okay. Buzzz, I don't like. Paradise Lost, Turn Around, Wouldn't Hurt So Bad, and If You Believe, all of the last songs there, I don't care. They just do nothing for me. But track 11 of 15, and really the only one that I like from the second half, maybe Happy Go Lucky, but Here and Now. Here and Now definitely is one that stuck in my head from when I was younger. I could remember it very well, and I still really like it. So this is definitely an album of 2 halves. I'd say I say halves. Tracks 1 to 4, brilliant, remember them very well, still love them. Track 9, Happy Go Lucky, kind of like it still. Track 11, Here and Now, love it as much as the first 4. The rest of it kind of blends into one. Now, does that mean that I just listened to the first 4 songs constantly and kind of neglected the rest of the album? Or have they failed to leave a lasting impression on me over the years? I don't have an answer to that. But I will say that considering this album was released in 2000, and I listened to it probably for about 4 or 5 years very frequently. I hadn't listened to any of these songs in about 15 years, maybe longer. The fact that I can still remember quite a few of them, bodes well for it. It's pretty decent. I'd say it's my favourite Steps album. It is my favourite Steps album, but as I said, I think I might have only had one other one, if I even had that one. My memory's a bit vague. If you were a Steps fan and you don't remember this, check it out and let me know what you think. If you do remember it, go and have a listen, revisit it. For me, it will always hold a special place in my heart.